Welcome back to First Available, the podcast where we talk all things disc golf. It is June 3rd, already June 3rd, 2024, and this is episode number 15. I'm your host, Christopher Smith, on the Disc Smith Disc Golf YouTube channel, Spotify for the podcast, YouTube for everything else, Facebook, Instagram. Don't really do any of the other ones. Never been a fan of the Twitters and the TikToks and stuff like that. But we got some stuff to talk about today. I'm going to try to keep the episode relatively short. We got what was it this weekend that we had? The Portland Open. We're over on the West Coast swing. Portland Open, hosted by Latitude 64. And some interesting wins to talk about. I don't think that'll take up too much time. I don't want to go super into depth on it, but we will pull it up and just talk about who won. And there wasn't really much to talk about other than the winners, really, is the reason why I don't think we'll talk too much about it. We'll do a quick update on my personal event schedule because there are some updates to it. And then we will probably finish off. I don't know if we got time, maybe a personal story. If what we already have on the docket takes up most of the time, then we'll push the personal story to next week. I'm trying to rush this in. I'm actually recording this late because my family went on a little vacation today, and I had to drive them to the airport. And I've got the house to myself for the evening, and I just got off work, so I'm trying to rush the episode out, get it uploaded, and use up some of the daylight since I don't have to be home to go out and maybe either play around or maybe even record something. I was thinking about doing a video for this Wednesday. Today's Monday, right? Yeah. For this coming Wednesday. I don't have anything planned. I got plenty of footage to go through, which I talked about, I think, on last week's podcast. I still got everything from my trip when I went to Pittsburgh, which I went to 2 courses. I went to a small one on the way out that I can probably chop up into a small video. And then I played a really nice course out in the Pittsburgh area. That'll probably be a 2-part video, so that'll probably be one of those casual Fridays I've been doing lately because there's no gimmick to it. So I still have to go through all that footage, and I did that like 3 weeks ago at this point. So I don't know. I want to get back to doing some of the little more fun mini games and stuff like that. I haven't done any of those, like when I did the disc golf dice and bad caddy and stuff. When I first started the channel, it's been a while since I've had the time to go do that video because I feel like on top of me playing tournaments this year, and then we went into Putter Madness, and then what happened after Putter Madness? I just feel like after we completed Putter Madness, like I don't know, it just seems like everything I've done since then is like a casual Friday type video. So I want to try to utilize some of the time I'll have with my family being out of town today to maybe record something a little bit different. But that's a lot of talking about what we're going to talk about. Now let's talk about it. Let's flip you up on the screen here. I actually do definitely have one other item I didn't mention that I want to talk about merch-wise. I might got some merch coming up. We're going to talk about that soon. Oh, my air conditioner. Let me turn that off. Many apologies. I try to record these straight through so I don't have to edit them because the first, I don't know, dozen episodes I did, I would record, but I would, if I felt the need to like cough or something like that, I would pause the record. I wouldn't pause the recording. I would just, I would record twice as much footage as what you usually get, and now I would edit it and cut stuff out and shorten it down, stuff like that. And I'm trying not to do that because I wasn't cutting that much out of it. And it was just tedious extra work, and then for my encoder to have to render the video and everything, it's just a bunch of added time for doing the podcast episodes. And it's a lot easier if I can just do it straight through. That's kind of why the intro cuts off a little bit. That's something I should tweak because when I transition scenes, it's cutting off the audio instead of letting it fade out. These are the things that you come to my podcast for, right? First Available, where we talk all things disc golf, and we've talked like zero disc golf and all about my technological problems. But I wanted to flip you over to the camera here, and we'll hop on to the PDGA events. We're in June here. That is May. I did not hit go. That's why. All right. So as mentioned, this was actually a 4-day Elite Plus event for the Disc Golf Pro Tour, the 2024 Portland Open presented by Latitude 64. Let's talk FPO first. I like to talk ladies first because they play first. Again, let's talk, I want to save the main story for last for this segment. So let's not talk about the winner first. Let's go down through just a few notable names in like the top 10-ish. We got, as usual, but in a different fashion this week. Holland Hanley coming up in second place. To be perfectly clear, both the FPO and MPO, those were decided prior to the last day. So at the end of the third round, the scoreboard was already set on as far as who was winning. Those two leaders were way out in advance, and they were going to have to screw up really bad on the last day, which they didn't do, for there to be a difference. So Holland Hanley had no shot. Actually, I think she was actually in like third with only a couple holes left. I think Owen Scoggins dropped down the board at the end with a couple penalties. But at any rate, Holland Hanley, again, is on the podium, but not in first place. That just seems to be the theme this year. And I hope she can get over the hump. And the reason why I said it was different than previous tournaments this year, it's usually in previous tournaments, she's lined up in first place going into the final round, and then has her worst round of the tournament and falls out of that first place. Here it's the opposite. Round 1 was her worst day, 67. Round 2 and 3, 60 and 63 combined. So she shaves, 7 strokes off, and then, 3 strokes off compared to round 1 in the follow-up 2 days. And then the final day, she shoots her best day by far, a 56, 11 strokes down from round 1. So she finally, showed up on the last round, but unfortunately, the lead was just too much at that point. The scoreboard doesn't even do it justice, which we'll talk about here in a moment, because it shows that she was 24 down compared to 26 with our winner. So she only was in second place by 2 strokes, but that doesn't tell the true story. Anyways, you had Sophia. I don't know how to pronounce her last name. I'm going to pronounce it wrong. She's a Canadian. Sophia Donachek or Donachie. I think it's Donachie. Anyways, she played pretty good, coming out in third place. Kat Murch, Missy Gannon, Owen Scoggins, Rebecca Cox, Emily Weatherman back in the top 10, along with Lisa Ficus that rounds, and then Ella Hansen rounds out your top 10 for the FPO. So one thing that is nice to see here, and this is probably because it is a 4-day event, is you can... Something's off here. Okay, they didn't play the last day. Everyone that made the cut, except for Deanne Carey, who just had a bad last day, that's what happened, was under par on the entire event. And that, again, that's probably because there's that extra day to grab some extra birdies. But nice to see. I like to see all those red numbers. I wish these weren't red, though. I wish they were green. Like, red's bad. You want these numbers. All right, so let's talk about our winner real quick, since they deserve it. Paige Pierce. So obviously Paige Pierce, one of the best known names in the game from the FPO field for the last decade plus, well before I got into disc golf. She picks up this win. It's her first win since a year and 2 weeks ago. It was like 380 days she went without a win, which is the longest that she's ever gone without a win since 2011. And she's been a PDGA member since 2006. With this being her first win, very interesting and very comparable to Paul Macbeth, in my opinion, because she's that player that I always see on Facebook when I'm going through, disc golf discussion or whatever other Facebook group or whatever I'm reading online about disc golf stuff. Her name pops up a lot and seems to get a lot of hatred towards it. I'm not really sure why. Obviously, in my opinion, that usually the more hate you get, there's 2 scenarios. Either you are like a really piece of crap person, which is like, I mean, how many people can you think of that like are so bad that you just hate them outright, right? It's not. I don't think that's very common. Usually, people and players in professional sports, in my opinion, that are hated generally it's because they're really good. Most notable case of that's going to be LeBron James. I've never seen somebody be so good at something and be hated as much as they are. It's because they're good, and people, for whatever reason, hate on greatness. Anyways, Paige Pierce, this win on this week reminded me of when she won the Austin Open last year. So last year, remember, she kind of was coming out of a drought going into the 2023 season. It was, can Paige Pierce make a comeback? It was already phrased that she needed to, like, that she had kind of fallen off. And then she showed up at the Austin Open and she won. I remember she gave her little speech at the end. She was talking about like, you know, I receive all this hate and hopefully this like kind of puts people to rest on it. And this win felt very similar because, you know, after she won that Austin Open last year, she won the OTB Open, and then I don't remember the exact injury. It was a lower leg injury, like an ankle thing, but it was a very serious injury. She had to have surgery and ended her season, couldn't walk, didn't know if she would be able to walk again, you know, in the early stages of that. And for her to come back already, and it's June, right? So she's played, I think like 6 to 8 tournaments this year. And she had a couple really bad ones, and she had a couple decent ones. Like, for her to come out and win this, and in the fashion she did, where she was up like 10 strokes on the last day. Like I said, the scoreboard shows her winning by 2. She was up by like 5 or 6 with 5 left, and was like laying up shots and accidentally pulled. Like, if she was like on hole 18, her drive. I think her drive did go. She had one hole where she went through the mando of a tree, and like there was a little controversy on that, which it didn't matter because she ended up throwing in she threw a provisional even though she was told that she was safe on the mando. She did the smart play and threw a provisional from the drop zone and threw it in. So that was pretty sweet. But then on hole 18, when she knew she was up like, I think she was still up 5 strokes going into hole 18, and she was just laying her shots up left and right. And even her first drive, I think it was, she pulled it to the right and went out of bounds. As to where if she was actually going for it and had gone out of bounds, at least she would have advanced further. But that's a lot of words for me to just say. She had that one in the bag going into Sunday. Sunday was just, you know, formalities, finishing out the tournament. So it was nice to see her win. I've kind of talked about it before. I don't have, like I said, she receives a lot of hate. I don't get it. I don't personally have any players that I really dislike Pro Tour. Like, I have players that I like more, like Simon Lizotte, one of my favorites. I'm a big Brody Smith fan. I got players that I like more than the others, but I don't have players that I actually like dislike. So seeing her win, I'm more interested in storylines, I think, is the point I was trying to get there. Like, I don't really care who the player is that wins. Obviously, probably with the exception of the 2 names I just mentioned, especially like Simon. I'll root for Simon. I like Calvin Heimberg. There's a few players that I'll root for that I hope that they win outright just because of who they are. But outside of just a short list of names, as far as who wins the tournament, both MPO and FPO, my preference comes down to the storyline that it creates. So like Paige Pierce is a great storyline. You know, she's a historic great. Was she? I think she's a 5-time world champ. You can fact check me on that. I should do it while I'm on here, but I'm not going to. I should do it. I'm not going to. It'd take too long. But anyways, moral of the story, had a good storyline. Like when AB won at the beginning of the year, it's a great storyline. It's his first win. Like when there's something attached to it, and I don't remember what it was. It was when Presnell won a few weeks back, and I did the podcast, and I was talking about it the next day, and I was like, that was just a boring win because, you know, there was no storyline there for me personally. Like, I didn't have any attachment or detachment. Jesus, I didn't have any attachment, or I don't even know what the other word would be for that, but it doesn't matter. Andrew Presnell winning that didn't affect me one way, good, bad, or the other. So let's flip over now and talk MPO, because I'll just sit here and jibber jabber words all day. This is why I don't talk much. I'm not good at it. All right, we're going to go back, and now we're in the MPO field. So let's do the same kind of deal here. We'll talk about the top 10, winner last. Cole Redallen coming in second place with Ricky Wysocki. What was he? 2 strokes behind him, which was insane. This is actually the biggest story of Sunday of the championship round for the MPO is the Wysocki Redallen finish, because Ricky Wysocki was up 2 strokes going into hole 18. I'm almost certain it was 2, if maybe not even 3 strokes, but he was up. Cole Redallen was on the card in front of him because Ricky was on the lead card, Cole was on the chase card. Cole had put himself in great position to birdie hole 18. He attacked it, went after it, got it, which was pretty sweet. And then Ricky Wysocki threw double OB. He went OB off the tee, and then he went OB again on his second shot. That must have played as a par 4 for the MPO. I think it was a par 5 for that. My math was throwing me off because I thought that he took a double bogey. Well, you know what? We can check. I'm pretty sure he took a double bogey, so it means it must be a par 4 on 18. 18 is a 5. Ricky took a 7. Just tell me exactly where he did that at. All right, so... Oh, so his drive hit the fairway. That's the part that I missed. So it wasn't his drive that went out of bounds. He hit the fairway on the drive, and then his second shot went OB. So he dropped, what was that? He dropped 3, took 4. That went out of bounds. Dropped 5, took 6, which was a putt at the basket and missed, hit low, and tap out 7. So double bogey for him compared to a birdie for Colbert Allen. So that was a 3-stroke swing on the last hole, and he ended up losing to Cole by 2. So, you know, if had he just parred out, he would have had solo second. Watch me do some math on the fly. It's almost like I work with data for a living. Talk about I'm good with math when I can like add, subtract, do division, multiplication. People are over here thinking I'm like writing formulas, and I mean I'll write. Why am I talking about this? A disc golf podcast. These are the kind of things I'll ramble on about. Let's go down the remainder of the leaderboard. Aaron Gossage, was nice to see him get up there in a tie for 4th along with Isaac Robinson. Isaac Robinson, he's just hiding around in that top 10, just lurking, waiting to pop out, and still Idlewild this year, and probably Ledgestone too. Speaking of Ledgestone, Calvin Heimberg in 6th place. Like I said, Calvin's one of my favorite, probably my next favorite after Simon as far as who I'm rooting for to win. Brody's one of my favorite, but I mean, realistically, Brody's never in the conversation to win. So as far as talking about rooting for somebody, Paul McBeth, I would love what Paige Pierce just did. Paul McBeth is going to do. I think it would be silly and short-sighted to think for 1 second that Paul McBeth has won his final tournament on the Pro Tour. It's hard for me to think that he can go an entire year if he's playing the year and healthy where he's not going to win. So he's going to have an event this year that he's going to win. Let's go ahead and throw out predictions and then watch him not even play that tournament. I'm going to say D-Glow. D-Glow goes to Paul McBeth this year. Watch that be like, I did no research. I just pulled a random event. So when you go look and find it, like, that's the worst event that he plays on the tour the entire year, every single year. That's just me taking a wild guess. And then that was 7th place. 8th place, we got Andrew Marweed, tied with Nicholas Antala, and Luke Taylor, tied with Paul Ulibarri. You know, one thing I never look at, because I just have never really taken the time to learn it, and I'm going to do that for next week, is the point standings and stuff, so I can, you know, understand when I see a name like a Paul Ulibarri hitting top 10, how that helps him. Might as well do them all, because I didn't realize there were so many tied for 10th place. But along with Luke Taylor and Paul Ulibarri, you got Ben Calloway, Eagle McMahon. That's a quiet top 10. I didn't know he was finishing there. I didn't really pay a whole lot of attention Sunday, the last round, because like I said, both the MPO and FPO fields were both decided before that round. It was just kind of a boring day of disc golf. I personally, we'll talk about the rest in a minute. Let's finish that top 10. Corey Ellis and Kyle Klein. So was that like 6 people tied for 10th place? But yeah, on top of there not being anything interesting going on as far as the scoreboard on both MPO and FPO, I don't really care for the Portland Open course. Honestly, and I know this is going to strike some people wrong, but the West Coast swing kind of to me is like the most boring part of the tour. I like the Texas stuff, Las Vegas. I like that Florida course they played this year. Like my favorite part is when they come up to the Midwest and Northeast, Maple Hill. Like I was saying, D-Glow, even the Minnesota one, Music City Open's even a good part. It's just that West Coast, like the OTB course doesn't really wow me much, and the Portland course doesn't either. They just don't have like really, and I know I've only been in disc golf for 3 years, so maybe I just haven't seen them enough, but like some of the other courses like have iconic holes that I can think of, And those two, they just don't. They just seem like it's a lot of the same thing. It's not like, if the scoreboard were interesting over the weekend, I would have paid a little bit closer attention. So the course is like secondary to that stuff. Like I can't watch it just like, what is it? Is it Jonesboro that has that carry over the entire lake, like 325 feet or something like that, and then it's the island with the back wall behind it. Pretty sure that's Jonesboro. But yeah, like when that tournament's going on, like I wait. I'm like, oh, hole 16's coming up. Like I want to watch. I wish I could, and they almost certainly do now with the new stuff going on Disc Golf Network. But I should be watching that camera that only watches that hole the entire time. But I don't, because I think you have to pay extra for that. I don't know, but I would like to watch that. Like there are certain holes, and the only reason I bring that up is again just because the Portland and the OTB course and stuff like that, they just don't have that for me. All right, so that's all we needed to talk about as far as Pro Tour stuff for today. As for me, I don't really have anything major update-wise, tournament-wise that you guys aren't at least somewhat familiar with. Again, I got the Scott Burnett Open coming up in just 2 weeks. I was talking about last week possibly signing up for this Friday C-tier, just because, again, I know that I will have that entire day to myself. It's a Friday. I'll probably take that off work, and I will probably sign up for this and see if I can hop in here with Kevin and maybe get some other people. Or if we don't get enough in MA40, they can push us wherever we need to go. I don't really care. But I think it would be nice to just get out and play a course, play a tournament prior to going into the weekend and playing the actual Scott Burnett Open. My biggest concern right now is my shoulder. I went and saw, and I'm not huge on visiting chiropractors. I do it. The last time I visited one was, what was that, 2 years ago? It was right before I had my knee surgery, because when I first tore my ACL, prior to having the surgery done on it, my knee would buckle. If my knee got to a complete, like this is my body's coming up here, and like so my femur would be, pointed out. I don't know if I'm doing a good job of explaining this, but anyways, if my knee straightened up to where this would have been the wrong direction, if that knee got to the actual straight point, it would just buckle. And I was taking the trash can out one afternoon, and leg straightened up, and I just fell down. And, it wouldn't hurt or anything, but with that ACL being gone, why the hell am I talking about my ACL? I'm losing my mind. I was talking about the chiropractor. With that ACL being torn and me trying to cautiously make sure not to lock that knee, I was putting a lot of stress on my opposite back hip area. I'm terrible with anatomy, but my lower right back was really painful. So that was the last time I saw a chiropractor, and he did a good job on getting that fixed up for me. But I told you guys, I think last week, that I don't know how or why, but my shoulder started hurting. And now I just got the lingering soreness. And I think the same thing occasionally, or not occasionally, like once a year, right in between on my back, in between my spine and my right shoulder blade, whatever that muscle is, like it gets worked up really bad. It gets knotted up. And I got these little actually, I got it right here. It's like a tennis ball. I was using a tennis ball at first, and I was grinding my back on it so bad that it would break the tennis ball in half. So I got these little yoga ball things, these little, I don't know, they're hard. They feel like a racket ball that is solid. But I put that in between my back and my chair when I'm driving in the truck or whatever to go play golf, and that way I can work that that muscle out back there. So anyways, with my shoulder hurting right now, I think I've triggered that same muscle back there that flares up. So I've been working on that. I've been able to throw. I've been going out, daily like usual. Without being completely hindered. It's not like I can't throw. And to be honest with you, the drives, while I feel some shoulder pain there in the drives, it's more annoying than like debilitating as far as the drives go. The part that really gets me, it's that the putting motion, because you lift pushing forward, pulling that up, which actually doesn't feel too bad right now as I'm doing it here. But that's the motion that as you start doing it, and you get like 15% of the way, like you can feel like, oh, like that's not, like something's not good, right? It's doing it right there now. But anyways, that's my only big concern. So I don't know. I don't know if 2 weeks is enough time for that to get healed up. But I don't see it preventing me from playing, which is the good thing. Now, tournament day may come, and I may have to just back off. I remember the first day I played after hurting my shoulder. I went out with Ross and the boys, and I was just throwing a hex, basically on every hole that I could. There was the biggest disc I threw that day, and I only threw it twice, once on backhand, once on forehand, was a Wrath, an Axiom Wrath, which is a 9-speed It's basically a Tesla. And I only threw it, like I said, I only threw it twice, and didn't have much pain. I don't know. We should be good. But anyways, that's the point I'm trying to drive there, is that if tournament day comes and it's for some reason no better than what it is right now, I may just have to disc down a lot and just, play smart and just do the best we can. I don't know. But anyways, yeah, I got the Scott Burnett coming open for sure. I already signed up for the Saturday, Sunday. Pretty sure it's a 2-day event. And then I'm probably going to sign up for the C tier. I'll check the price. As long as it's not crazy, I'm going to sign up for that. Take the day off. And then other than that, the only other thing on the front right now is the Hazy Shade Biop. Actually, this is the Scott Burnett Open. So didn't realize I had this open. Yeah, 2-day event. All right, so that'll be a big weekend. I did sign up, Ross and myself, for the Hazy Shade Biop. That is coming in August. I have to get an actual date here. Oh, where am I at? I thought there was a place where I could see what I am on. Upcoming tournaments. Hazy Shade 22nd Annual Biop Doubles, August 24th. So what does that give us? So that should be the 24th, 25th, I believe. But anyways, me and Ross already signed up for that. Look us up, Captain Bogies. We are in the MA40 group, and so that's a B pool. We will be playing Caesar Ford and then Fairborn this year. So we played Fairborn last year in the first round, and that's the only time we've ever played Fairborn together for the Biop. So we get it again this year, which I already like. We'll be playing from the long tees though this year, so that'll be interesting. And then same thing at Caesar Ford, we'll be playing from the gold. So I just played there, just put 2 videos up. Like I said, for me personally, when we played that, especially playing doubles, the short tees at Caesar Ford, the pars are very soft. Especially on the front 9, there's like a lot of par 4s that are like 530 feet, so it's like if you can throw 400 feet, you can easily just dial off, and say, okay, I got 550 to throw here. I'm going to throw 350, and then I'm going to have a 200-foot approach shot. Like you don't have to push. Now playing from the gold tees, I'm imagining you're going to feel that more. That I'm guessing. I don't know. We'll find out. Ross and I will go out there and do a practice round, and I'll record a little bit of shots and maybe put together a little, clip reel of some of the shots. But we'll find out that those long tees are probably 80 to 100 feet back, if maybe not more in some cases. So I don't know. I think this year we played the short tees. I've only played there one other time. That was, I can tell you, I was throwing a Blizzard Boss that I found at Academy Sports, because it was like 134 grams. So that had to be in 2022. It was 100% in 2022, because it was before I tore my ACL. So yeah, that was a while. That was a while ago, but I think at that time we played the middle tees, if I'm not mistaken. Anyways, doesn't matter. We're signed up for Scott Burnett Open. We're signed up for Hazy Shade, so that covers our June and August tournaments. I need to get something on the books for July, since we're here real quick. Now, here is the thing, is I'm not sure what part of July, but at some point in July, I will be visiting Jacksonville, Florida. So I was thinking about making a huge mistake and signing up for a tournament in Jacksonville in the hottest part of the year, in a state that I specifically and really only moved away from because of the heat. It's why everyone asks me here in Ohio when I move here, and I'm like, yeah, I lived in Florida for 15 years. What'd you move back for? Because between May May 26th and August 26th, let's just do a solid 3 months. Between those 3 months, I wasn't leaving the house unless I had a 15-second run to get in an AC vehicle. I don't like heat. Oddly enough, I come to find out I don't like the cold as much as I used to like it when I was a kid, because I don't get to play in the snow. I just shovel it now, which I actually kind of like shoveling snow as long as it's not ridiculous. It's a weird thing, like mowing the grass and shoveling the snow I actually enjoy doing within good reason. But yeah, I just don't like the heat. But anyways, we're going to take a quick look here. And yeah, we're not going to go into personal story. We're already a little over 31 minutes. So we'll just do a quick Gander Mountain. If we don't see anything, then I'll do this on my own time and talk about it next week on the podcast. But we're going to take a real quick look to see if we can find a tournament within 40 miles of Jacksonville, Florida. Orange Park, Florida. Okay, so here's one. Now, this is I think my favorite course. I say I think because I really want to sit down and think about it before just saying, because I do like New World Greens is a great, fun layout. It's the layout that I'm like, I have to play this every time I go there. But since I did play Trinity Baptist, hopefully it's talking about the North Campus. South Campus was fun. It was just a little sketchy in the beginning, had me concerned. But anyways, if this is at Trinity North, that's a B tier. Trinity North is a tough course. I really like it, but it's got some tough water shots. It's a fun course. It might be it's between that and New World Greens, but I think Trinity Baptist North is probably my favorite course that I've played so far in Jacksonville. Registration's already filled up pretty well on here. So I don't know, but that is possible. Possible. That might be the only dang thing. Well, here's a C tier flex start on the Friday. So there's a good chance is registration open? Registration's open. Okay. So with registration being open on this one right here, this will be a C tier flex. Choose your own tee time. Must have at least 3 players to start a card. We'll be doing early check-in. Jacksonville trifecta this day from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. We'll be using the Trinity North course for this event. There will be no players packs. So, yeah, I've never done this before where you choose your own tee time stuff. I don't know anything about that, but this might be what I sign up for. Just because it's a C tier, it's one round, it's at a course that I love. I'm going to shoot terrible at it. Oddly enough, I like throwing Viking discs. This will be the last part of the podcast. I'm going to shut it down after this because I'll keep talking forever. But look forward to this event. We might be signing up for that. But to round it out, I wanted to talk about a personal story, but we're running out of time, so I'll do that because I'll probably take a good 10-12 minutes. We'll do that next week if we have time. But to round out today, talking about Trinity North, I think when I went to Florida for this past Christmas, I'm pretty sure that was the first time I ever played there. And I like to throw Viking discs as my water discs because their ground plastic is like $8. You can get their discs usually for probably like $8, $8-9, something like that. Super cheap, but the discs fly really good, and their base plastic, the ground plastic, actually feels amazing. It is probably my favorite feel plastic when it comes to grip. But that said, it is the least durable plastic I've ever thrown in my life. I remember when I first started with Ross a couple years ago, we went to Milliken Mile for the first time, and I just bought a Viking axe because for some reason the yellow on it stood out to me. But it was a little mid-range, like a little 4.4, I don't know, 4.5, -1 type. It's just a straight mid-range from what I recall. And I threw it on the first hole. It has to be hole 2. It's right after you go under the tunnel and up the stairs. that shot right there. So I'm pretty sure it's hole 2. But I threw it, and we're just watching it glide out, and it gets close to the basket and hits a tree. And the moment it hit that tree, just the front of it just folded right in half. It was crazy. But anyways, they make great discs. You can get the premium ones. They fly just fine. They're very durable, and in both their Storm and Armor plastic. So here I am turning this into a commercial. And anyways, I like throwing Viking discs. So I had their 10-speed driver, which is that mythical dog from Norse mythology. I can never pronounce it correctly. I don't know if it's Fenor or Fenra or whatever it's pronounced, but it's a great driver. Really good, solid. It's very close to an MVP Tesla as far as the flight characteristics out of it. And on one of the early holes when you're first throwing at the pond, it's like hole 4 or 5. It's not the short one, at Trinity North. Let's pull it up. Let's pull it up real quick because we got a minute here. Let's go UDisc. Go to courses. So for anyone just listening along real quick, I'm just pulling it up on UDisc for anyone that's watching, to be able to see this water. And I can kind of tell the story as I'm pulling this up anyways. There we go. Trinity College North. It's a great campus. So on this hole, if you're watching along here, you can see I've scanned through a lot of these pictures, and you can already see a lot of water. And I don't think I see the hole that I'm talking about. Yeah, this is later on in the course. This is like hole 14 or something like that. But anyways, there's a hole, and I threw that disc at it, my Fenra or whatever it is. And when I let go of it, I'm like, oh, that's perfect. It's perfect. It's perfect. And it just kept going straight and straight and straight and straight. And that disc is, it fades at the end. It's fairly stable. I mean, it's got 10.403, which those numbers aren't true. I would say it's more of a 10.5 -1.2 type disc. Like I said, it's like a Tesla. And it never faded. Went in the water, but I did care for some odd reason, even though I specifically only had that disc in the bag for throwing it at water. I was still kind of bummed I lost it. But anyways, a couple weeks ago, I got a random text with a picture of it. Somebody in Jacksonville had found it and was asking how to get back to me. And I just let them know, to keep it because I don't live there. But yeah, that's it. I got one more nugget of information because pulling up UDisc and seeing my other tabs that were open made me think of this. Let's see if I can find this out. Give me 1 second to open something here. Yeah. Oh, that's the wrong one. See, that's the reason why I needed 1 second to open. Make sure I open up the right thing. I got one more thing to talk about. I said at the beginning of the episode in regards to merch. So if you're watching along, pulling it up on the screen now. This is one of the things that when Ross and I play, as I'm sure most of you that play disc golf with your buddies do, you have sayings that you just say, whether you do movie quotes or if you come up with your own sayings. And Hidden Valley Branch was always one of ours that we've been saying a lot. And we always kind of jokingly said, oh, we should make like a t-shirt out of that, like the Hidden Valley Ranch logo. It just happened one day because I think he said something like Hidden Branch, and then I said, oh, Hidden Valley Branch. And anyways, I kept threatening that I was going to make a logo out of it and whatnot, and make t-shirts for it. So you can see here on the screen, if you are watching along, we have the Hidden Valley Branch here logo. I'm very happy with it. I cannot take credit for doing it myself. I hit up Ari on Fiverr. I will put a link to his Fiverr in the description on both YouTube and Spotify for this. So if you're ever looking for any graphic art stuff, Ari does a great job. He made one of my Disc Smith disc golf logos in the beginning, like the cartoon looking one, and then he did this, and he does fast work, does great. And you know what, I've never actually spoken to Ari, so I don't know, but anyways, I'll put a link to the Fiverr profile in there. You can check it out. But as soon as I take the time to figure out which merch store to go through, I'm not trying to do merch to like actually make money, but we got a few ideas for logos and stuff like this one. We played Milk and Mile just last week, and there's always this sign there on some like hole 6 or something like that where it says seasonal pond is out of bounds, and it shows you like this. There's this little low area in the middle of the fairway, and it says that it's a seasonal pond, and we have never seen a drop of water in it. So it's like a running joke, like, oh, there's a seasonal pond. There's this, when we'll point at the ground and there's no water and just call it a seasonal pond. I don't know. This is the dumb stuff that I think of. But anyways, we're going to start getting some different t-shirt and merch ideas. So if you're looking for something fun, as soon as I have the shop up and running, I will definitely put it on blast on all my socials. So just keep an eye out for that. Like I said, we're not trying to make actual money off of it. I mean, obviously if we did, that would be fantastic, but we just want to have some fun. And if you're looking for something fun, we can put it on there. If you have any ideas for merch or anything like that you'd actually be interested in, let me know. Be glad to hear from you. And as always, if you are checking this out on the YouTube platform, please make sure to give the podcast video a like. It'll greatly help out the channel. And that's going to wrap it up for today. I will see you all next week. Have a good one.